There is a quiet that comes just before big changes happen. This quiet is not empty, but full of waiting. In that calm, something old wakes up. A knowing that what has ruled too long without fairness is about to fall. When I saw the vision of power being taken away, it wasn't loud thunder that spoke, but silence. And in that silence, I understood. God does not speak to scare. He speaks to set free. In Nile 2025, a veil will drop, not just on one person, but on a system that has grown too proud, too blind, too far from the truth. This will not be a simple change. It will not be one person swap for another. No, this will be a holy restoring of balance, a forced turning of a page that too many were holding on to. The world has lived under heavy illusions. Masks worn so long that even those who wore them believed in them. But God's timing does not care about how things look. He waits for the exact time when breaking the illusion will wake the most souls. To see such a vision is not to gain control over what will happen. It is to be given the duty of awareness. The picture of someone taken from their place of power is not about revenge or drama. It is the unfolding of divine justice. A justice beyond courts or what the public thinks. It happens when the divine decides a certain energy can no longer exist in the light coming. An energy of control, lies, and self-worship hiding as leadership. But don't be fooled. The removal is only the surface. What God truly shows is the truth behind the throne, the unseen system of control, the webs of fear, the structure that helped one man rise and let many others stay silent. Power in the world is never alone. It is fed by belief, kept by fear, and held up by the lack of truth. When these are taken away, what's left is not just one person falling. It is the revealing of everything we refuse to question. Many will be shocked. They will ask, how could this happen? But the real question is, how did it last so long? Because we allowed it. We traded truth for comfort. We gave up clear understanding for the illusion of safety. We worshipped those who seemed strong instead of those who were true. And when the fall happens, many will mourn, not the man, but the idea they tied to him. This is why the fall is not just outside. It holds a mirror to every soul. It invites us to ask what inside us kept this illusion alive. The unconscious inside each of us feeds the unconscious in the world, and removing one from power only matters if it wakes us to remove falsehood from our own lives. God does not reveal to punish. He reveals to wake us up. He shows so healing can start. But healing does not start with cheering. It starts with humility. Those who celebrate the fall are still caught in ego. True awakening sees beyond the surface. It feels pain for the shared deception. It senses the cost of every year spent under lies. It knows that while one man leaves his seed, the deeper seed inside the minds and hearts of millions still needs to be emptied. And that work cannot be done with headlines. It must be done in quiet, in thought, in the silence, where the soul speaks. The world is readying for a shift. Many are not ready to accept. But being ready is not about comfort. It is about willingness. Willingness to see the truth, even when it hurts. Willingness to let go of what we once defended. Willingness to admit, I was wrong. That is how new power is born. Not in speeches, not in wins, but in quiet moments when ego finally gives up to truth. The one who is removed will not fall alone. Every system built on the same energy will shake. You will feel it, not just in the news, but in your body, in your relationships, in how you see the world. Because the fall of one outside power starts thousands of changes inside. The illusions you relied on will feel unstable. The habits you followed without thinking will suddenly feel too much. The truth you avoided will grow louder than ever. And in this moment, you must choose. Will you hold on to the old or let go for the new? Because God's vision is not about destruction. It is a door to realignment. But that door is narrow. You cannot enter it with pride. You cannot enter it blaming others. You cannot enter it distracted by noise. You must be empty. Empty enough to hear the guidance without words, empty enough to take in the light that shows what must still be cleared. The one being removed is not the start of the story. It is the middle. What matters now is what comes next. When the world is shocked, will you stay calm? When others want revenge, will you seek understanding? When confusion rises, will you stay grounded? Because after a collapse, true leadership appears. Not the kind that controls, but the kind that makes things clear. Not the kind that shouts, but the kind that shines peace. You are being prepared for this. Not to take a throne, but to hold a space. Not to order, but to guide. Not to rule, but to align. Many think that losing power is the end, but God's wisdom is deeper. What is lost outside must now grow inside. You are not asked to watch history. You are asked to rise above it. And you cannot rise above what you still hold on to. Let go of your loyalty to illusions. Let go of your tie to false strengths. Let go of your grip on people and start to hold on to principles. This is the call of the moment. You were not shown this message to panic. You were shown it to get ready. Not outside, but inside. Because the real earthquake is not in the world. It is in the soul. It shakes your beliefs' foundation. It breaks down your limits' walls. It cracks open the parts of you that settled for easy truths. And in that breaking, something deeper grows. A knowing, a seeing, a presence, so quiet it needs no proof. It just knows. On July 9th, the world will see a shift. But those awake will understand the shift is not about one man. It is about all of us. It is the end of one chapter and the start of another. One written not by force but by awareness. Not by a few, but by the many who are awake. And the first step is to remember when power is taken away, it is not a punishment. It is a cleansing. It is clearing away what no longer helps. It is breaking down what no longer fits. And in its place, truth waits quietly to be seen. Truth does not shout. It does not demand. It waits. It watches. It stays steady while illusions rise and fall. And when the noise fades, it remains unshaken. That is the kind of truth we must live. The kind that does not change with public opinion. The kind that does not need outside approval. The kind that shines from quiet inside. So ask yourself now, before the day comes, what power inside me needs to go? What illusion do I need to release? What false role do I need to step down from? Because the change is not just about one person, it is about everyone. Each of us holds a small throne inside, one where ego sits, making choices from fear, image, and control. But now that throne must be emptied. The soul must come back to guide. And that change, though quiet, is the greatest revolution of all. You were born for this time. Not to fear it, but to meet it clearly. Not to hide, but to rise. Not to react, but to think. Then to move forward, not as a follower of the fallen, but as a light for what comes next. When power is removed and truth is clear, the soul has one duty: to live in line with what it now sees. That is where the real journey starts. Prepare your inner kingdom before the outer one falls. These words are not a metaphor. They are a map, a sacred reminder that the deepest changes in our lives do not come from what happens in the outside world, but from what we have cared for, overlooked or ignored inside ourselves. The vision shown, the removal of one person from power, was not given for entertainment or as a prophecy to stir curiosity. It was given as guidance, as preparation, as a call to return to the one place that cannot be shaken by events. No matter how global or shocking, the stillness inside. This is not about politics. This is not about countries. This is about vibration, a frequency change, a breaking down of illusions. Every illusion that falls apart outside, if you are awake, shows one that must also be let go inside you. Too many people spend their lives looking out the window, reacting to the weather, not realizing that their soul is still a storm. What good is predicting the sky if you cannot quiet the thunder inside your own mind? The fall that is coming, the fall that has already started, is only clear to those whose eyes are not fixed outside. It will be felt by those who are ready, not with plans, but with silence. You do not need to run from cities. You do not need to stockpile supplies. You need to go back to the place inside you that the world cannot touch. The inner temple, the safe place of presence. In that space, there is no panic. There was no confusion. There was only clear understanding. And clarity is strength. When a person falls, when a structure breaks down, the shared spirit looks for something to hold on to. That is why fear spreads so fast. Because most people have not built the inner support needed to stand firm when outside dependence fails. They were not taught to find steadiness inside. They were taught to look for heroes, for leaders, for signs of control. But God does not raise those symbols to take His place. He allows them only until the soul is ready to wake up. And when He takes them away, it is not punishment. It is an invitation to lead yourself, to control your own energy, to rise not in power but in self-discipline. This is what preparing the inner kingdom means. It means learning how to sit with discomfort and not run away. It means training the mind to return to breath when chaos screams. It means letting go of your identity as someone who needs outside order to feel safe. Safety does not come from governments. It does not come from systems. It comes from alignment. And alignment is grown like a muscle, like a garden. You take care of it every day. Not just when the storm arrives, you breathe into it. You listen to the quiet voice that has been whispering beneath your thoughts all along. That voice is not loud, but it is wise. And when everything falls, that voice will stay. To prepare your inner kingdom is to remove the false kings you have let sit on the throne of your mind. The king of fear, the king of doubt, the king of comparison, the king of needing approval. These voices have ruled you longer than any person in power, and now is the time to remove them. With kindness, but with strength, but with resolve. You see, the real fight is not the one the world will show you in the news. The real fight is between the part of you that wants to stay asleep and the part that is waking up. And waking up is not a single moment. It is a movement, a practice, a journey. The world may seem to shake, but the true quake starts inside. If you do not know how to center your spirit, the fall of another will become your own, not because it was meant to be, but because you never learned to tell truth from noise. And the truth is this: your peace was never meant to be borrowed. Your stability was never meant to depend on others. Your purpose was never meant to wait until the world was calm. It was meant to be lived now, even in uncertainty, especially in uncertainty. There is a great paradox in preparation. It is not the kind that runs and hides. It is the kind that becomes more visible, more open, more kind, more grounded. When the outside world is falling, the prepared soul becomes a pillar, not of power as the world sees it, but of presence, a living reminder that there is a different way to respond, a higher way, a quieter way, and it is that energy, calm, non-reactive, rooted, that becomes stronger than any speech, any warning, any broadcast. In it, that energy heals what is around it. It softens fear. It invites stillness. It breaks the spell of panic. But such energy does not happen by chance. It is grown like fire. It must be cared for in advance. When the match is lit, you do not start looking for wood. You must have already gathered it. When the winds come, you do not start building your shelter. You must have built it nail by nail, moment by moment, in the hours when no one was watching. That is how you prepare your inner kingdom. Quietly, without applause, with the discipline of daily return. Returning to your breath, returning to your values, returning to the silence that connects you to the divine. On July 9, many eyes will open in shock. But the eyes that have already been opened will not be shaken. They will understand. Not everything that falls is a tragedy. Sometimes the fall is mercy. Sometimes the collapse is the only way for truth to rise. And those who are grounded will not resist it. They will not rush to replace the fallen king. They will instead look inside and ask, what inside me has changed? What illusions have I dropped? What new responsibility am I now called to hold? Because responsibility is the real test. You see, when we are no longer distracted by false leaders, false idols, false promises, we are left with only ourselves. And in that moment, many will realize they do not know who they are. They were built around reaction, around outside chaos, around dependency. And when those distractions are taken away, they will feel emptiness. But that emptiness is not a curse. It is the beginning point, the soil for new awareness, the birth of real inner presence. And presence is what this world has been starving for. Do not wait until the world falls apart to find steadiness. Start now. Prepare now. Not in fear, but in love. Love for yourself, your clarity, your alignment. Love for the future you, who will thank you for the calm you build today. Meditation is not just a practice. It is building. Every moment you sit in stillness, you lay the bricks of your inner fortress. Not to isolate yourself, but to create a space where clarity grows. A space you can return to when outside voices scream. The power of being removed is symbolic, a sign of what no longer can last, what no longer fits with where the world must go. But the real story is the change it will start in the collective spirit. Some will resist, some will fall into blame and confusion, but others, those who prepared, will rise. They will not rise in control. They will rise in peace. They will become the new guide for those lost in chaos. Not because they want to be noticed, but because they cannot help but shine. To prepare your inner kingdom is not selfish. It is the most sacred gift you can give the world. Because when the outside kingdom begins to fall, those without roots will reach out. And if your roots run deep, you can be the tree, the anchor, the reminder that what is real cannot be taken. That peace is possible even here, even now. This is not about being perfect. It is about being present. Present enough to see your reactions. Present enough to choose alignment over panic. Present enough to stop looking for saviors and start following your own soul's guidance. There is a quiet wisdom inside each of us. But we only hear it when we are willing to turn away from the noise. That willingness is your preparation. That choice is your power. And that presence is what will carry you through any storm. The outside kingdom may fall, but the inner kingdom, if built in truth, will stay unshaken. And from that place, a new world will begin, not by force, not by fear, but by the quiet courage of those who dared to prepare before the signs become clear. The shift has already started. Do not wait for the headlines. Begin now, in breath, in silence, in the simple, sacred act of coming home to yourself. There are moments in time when the fall of one is not just the end of a rain, but the start of a ripple that flows through minds, through hearts, through the unseen parts of human awareness. One event, a collapse, a removal, a dethroning, can break the illusion of forever and remind the soul that power is not lasting unless it is linked with truth. When God showed me the vision of a man being taken from power on July 9, 2025, I did not just see a political change. I saw the breaking open of a collective sleep. I saw the hypnotized begin to wake. I saw eyes long kept closed by comfort, by fear, by tradition, start to open. Not because they were told to, but because they could no longer ignore what was happening inside